On to Sri Lanka now. The economic crisis is quickly becoming a problem for India too. More refugees are arriving in India. Reports say 18 more refugees have reached the shores of Tamil Nadu, that's India's southern state. The refugees arrived in 2 batches early morning today. There were 6 men, 5 women and 7 children. On Thursday, 13 Sri Lankans from 2 families had arrived. So far, at least 60 refugees have made their way to India. I don't need to explain the reasons. Surviving in Sri Lanka is becoming difficult with each passing day. Once again, the inflation rate has broken records. For a 6th consecutive month, Sri Lanka has recorded record high inflation. In March, inflation in Sri Lanka soared to 21.5%. What was the inflation rate last year? 5.1%. And now it's 21.5%. That's 4 times more. Food inflation stood at close to 30%. Prices of diesel have increased by more than 60%. India has been trying to help. The Indian Reserve Bank gave some relief to Colombo today. The duration of a $400 million currency swap agreement was extended. But considering the crisis Sri Lanka finds itself in, currency swaps are just a stopgap arrangement. What Sri Lanka needs is a bailout. The worsening economic situation has led to clashes. Sri Lankans are struggling to get even the essentials. Even the companies are facing difficulties. 4 leading companies of Sri Lanka have released letters today. This includes companies that run leading FMCG and pharma brands, apparel manufacturers and supermarket and hotel chains. They want immediate steps to resolve the crisis. The companies also are calling for a change in leadership. Their statements do not name the Rajapaksas directly, but they echo the sentiments of the thousands of protesters, those who have been campaigning for the Rajapaksas to step down for several days now. Have a look. The Rajapaksas are steadily losing support from all sections of the Sri Lankan society. Already a minister has quit from the new cabinet. Media Minister Dr. Nalaka Godaheva handed over his resignation 2 days ago. He says he wants to make way for an interim government with greater political stability, but President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has yet to accept his resignation. Earlier this week, a civil society group demanded that the Rajapaksas must step down. Prominent lawyers, academics and doctors are a part of this group. In fact, doctors and health workers are now hitting the streets. They are warning about an impending health crisis. Sri Lanka is quickly running out of essential drugs. Reports say 70 vital drugs are now in short supply. Doctors say if the supplies are not replenished in time, they could lose their patients.
Right now, we are worried about emerging drug shortage, right, of essential drugs. At the moment, of course, we are doing it low stocks, and we are worried about patient safety in the future.
From this week, we are trying our level best to curtail some non-urgent operations, but attend all the emergency operations. And we are hoping that there will be some supplies coming from our friends in India and other countries, which will ease things out. But I think we are in a very serious situation, so we will have to be very, very careful.
This is a dangerous situation. Only an IMF bailout can restore these supplies. So what's happening on that front? Hectic talks are underway in Washington. Yesterday, the IMF gave a commitment to the Sri Lankan delegation. It said it is willing to work with Colombo to map a pathway and help Sri Lanka recover. If one has to read between the lines, the International Monetary Fund could bail out Sri Lanka, but a lot more work still needs to be done. The IMF has said before, any loan to Sri Lanka requires debt sustainability. That means Colombo first needs to restructure its loans with the creditors. Only then Sri Lanka will get the bailout that it needs. This is a developing story and we will be keeping a track. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.